astrological beliefs.
Huh, I never went live on YouTube. My bad. Whatever. Not a big deal. It's just there for VOD saving, and we have not done much so far. And then I had a lot of interactions, so I just randomly checked and was like, oh yeah. I should basically never use this to go live. If that's the case, then I guess my top title can go there instead. Just moving around some of my OBS windows, docs and stuff.
Beliefs were indistinguishable from their astronomical beliefs. And part of the problem that Sam is pointing to is the difficulty of distinguishing valid poetic impulse from invalid poetic impulse, and that really is a tremendous problem. You see that arise also in people who have religious delusions attendant upon manic depressive disorder or schizophrenia. But so much of what eventually manifests itself as hardcore pragmatic scientific belief has its origin in wild flights of poetic fantasy.
So his point is that while he personally doesn't believe in religion, it seems, he does think that religious belief is good for the stupid masses of dumb idiots to embrace because it's got simple rules to live by, and they'll, like, come to science eventually, I guess, because the people who built Stonehenge believed in fantasy but also thought the stars were relevant, which in some ways they are. Or whatever. Sure. You know, I'm not gonna dig into that. I'm not gonna dig into religion. I'm so tired. I just wanted to establish that Jordan Peterson doesn't believe in God in the way that people other than him would define God or believe or in.
It's such a, I mean, I never really, I mean, I'll just say it again. I'm blown away by that being a thing. 'Cause I always assumed that he had that pretty deep inside of him. Like he gets the suit, all the Bible verses built inside of it. I wonder if at any point he ever slowly starts to change, I guess, in that way, but still.
Or all the other words. These clips from Surrounded show that Peterson is, objectively, being disingenuous about his religious beliefs for the sake of a larger goal. He's this stuffy intellectual who wants to pretend to lead by example because he thinks it's good to promote religion, even though he himself doesn't need religion. And this is important because from here on, we know this now. We know that every clip we've watched is Peterson being a squirrely liar trying to squirm around that fact. That's why he won't directly answer any question, because he knows the people he's trying to reach won't like the answer. Man, we are not even halfway through this Surrounded video. But we have to take a break, and I need to go outside and call my parents, so, you know, watch these ads. Are you ever going about your day and you hear about someone for the very first time, and then all of a sudden that person is everywhere you look? Like Benson Boone. The heck is that guy? And why is he? Hey, we're back! Parents didn't want to talk and kept saying I was, quote, a bummer? We're apparently doing a Jordan Peterson episode, although I don't know why we do that, and frankly, I can't remember anything for more than 30 seconds right now. It's like my brain is trying to protect me from something. But from what I've been told, we've established that Jordan Peterson absolutely isn't a Christian, seems to think religion is good for stupid people, and then went on a Surrounded video to debate atheists and clearly had to tap dance around in order to seem like he was religious.
Sorry, I'm shaking my leg. That's why I'm shaking. I apologize. I have like a bit of a, I don't know, restlessness, ADHD, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'll make sure to stop or try to hold back on it.
Just to pander to his audience. And because we know all of that, we can use this video to see exactly what tactics Jordan uses to lie and squirm. But it turns out that his bag of tricks isn't very deep, because so far he's mainly just fallen back on litigating the exact definitions of words, inventing new definitions that nobody uses, debating those definitions, and exhausting everyone until the clock runs out. Literally. There's a timer component to these Surrounded videos, because all the best and most productive conversations work the same as supermarket sweep. But again, it's
yeah, all the dramatic elements that Jubilee tries to shove into this show is, like I said before, the racing to the chair. like it's a musical chairs, but it's already pre-figured out by the producers. So pointless. At least to some degree, it's pointless because even if they don't do it every time, they'd still do it sometimes. The clock, the winding down thing. Maybe the voted out by your peers is the closest thing, but it's just, it gives them a different element to play. They can game the system by playing the clock out of all the things. And it's just like, I guess there has to be a limit of time to some degree, but the goal is not to have a good conversation. The goal is to gamify the conversation.
Perfect for Jordan Peterson. He's the supermarket sweep of philosophers, after all. And this is where we get to his next big claim, which might be my favorite of them all.
My next claim is that everybody worships something, including atheists, even though they might not know it.
Oh, it's beautiful. Art even. The vagueness. The instant setup for wordplay. Wonderful, frustrating claim, sir. They are about to debate this claim for 20 minutes of the video, which is grotesque. I can voice a rebuttal to his claim in just one word. Are you ready for it? Let's play the clip again so I can reply.
My next claim is that everybody worships something, including atheists,
Okay.
even though they might not know it.
Sure. That's the rebuttal. You could also go with, okay. Either
Right.
one works. Because, yeah, sure, fine even. People worship things.
That's the other thing is like I've seen where like they're like if you're a Christian supremacist or whatever, you love what Trump has done. And then people run up to him and sit down, and then they go, actually, I am a Christian fundamentalist, and I do like what Trump has done. And it's like, okay, so why are you here? It sounds like you agree with me.
Star Wars, spouses, they're
It's just supposed to be that they create a statement, and then people go like, I need to respond to that statement. I need to refute that statement, and people run up to debate it or whatever. Where it's like, I think Donald Trump is bad for America. People go, oh, and then they run up. I need to, explain. Like, what do you mean? Why do you think he's bad? Oh, I will give you more information on it. Okay, well, after hearing that, I disagree based off these points or whatever. It's just like, I think you really worship something. Again, leaning on the let's define what worship means. And then even if you don't know you do kind of something. And then it's like Cody said, sure, okay, whatever, I guess, if that's what you think. If you think I worship hobby and personal time or the affection of my loved ones, the respect of my peers, okay. Has nothing to do with anything.
perfect little dog who recently hurt her back sneezing because she's the cutest little lady in the world and she's so sweet and she'll be okay. I guess I'm not sure how saying that everybody worships something is a checkmate atheists type of moment. The fact that people worship things doesn't prove or disprove the existence of God or the validity of Christianity.
It almost goes against the whole, like, if people are able to find such profound worship of all kinds of things, it almost muddies what worshiping God even is. It makes it so mundane. It's like literally everything else.
It might redefine God and obscure what this debate was supposed to be about, but it doesn't do much else. But because this is a debate show, everyone is about to run to the chair and get into just the most annoying conversations about the definition of the word worship. No one can just say, who cares? Or so what? Even though that's the actual response here. Also, did I mention that they have to literally run to the chair and be the first one there to get to debate? Surrounded makes you run to the chair. Again, like supermarket sweep. What does physical speed have to do with your ability?
Yeah, it's a very dumb show, and it's the dumbest part of the show because sometimes there's a guy on this side, on the opposite side of the person, and there's a person right next to the chair. How the fuck is that even supposed to be, reasonable? It's not even like they rotate. It's just dumb.
To debate. I guess if you're disabled with limited mobility, you can't be on this show. The show is silly, is my point. But again, That's why it's perfect for Jordan Peterson, the guy who doesn't actually believe in Christianity the way most people do and needs to hide that. He wants to run out the clock with a big confusing conversation on a big confusing show. His own little Lewis Carroll word maze to pass the time. And yet, what's extremely funny is that he somehow, incredibly, ends up losing that game.
How do you define worship?
Prioritize.
Prioritize. So almost like having a preference over something rather than the other.
It's a hierarchy of preferences.
Yeah.
And you use it to direct your attention.
Okay, not what worship means, but okay. We have our definition. And again, sure, people do prioritize things over other things. This isn't a revelation. Atheists, despite not believing in God, still prioritize things. So, I prioritize water over candy. Does that mean I worship water? I prioritize pink starbursts over yellow ones. Do I worship pink starbursts?
Dude, for
Is he
sure.
saying that anything we prioritize, even lastly, is something we worship? Let's ask.
So at what point is it worship? Because it sounds like you're saying
It's
worship is almost a
shades.
spectrum, right? Or it's not a binary. It's not a.
It's kind of like that's a good
So
question.
when
It's
is
like
when is it worship as opposed to just I love my wife?
the closer you get to the top or the bottom, the more it's more like
How
worship.
close to the top?
You see how easy it is to get lost in all of this. This has nothing to do with Christianity or religion. They are just talking about what Jordan Peterson thinks the concept of worship is. And I guess he thinks that worship is when something is at the very top or at the very bottom of our hierarchy of priorities. Fine. Sure. Fine. But as this guy is inquiring,
definition.
it seems like there's a cutoff there. There's a line where something goes from being a priority to a worship. So what does Peterson say about that?
I don't think I worship anything. And if you're saying I have to hit a certain threshold for it to be worship, it is possible I don't worship anything then, right?
It's not possible that you don't worship anything.
What do I worship?
Because you wouldn't attend. Well, love.
So you think I
Apparently.
worship love?
Do you attend in consequence of love?
I
See,
do.
I'm trying to define something. What
Right.
do you mean worship? I told you what I meant.
I
What do
mean-
you mean?
Hey, you lost. You lost your own word game, Pete. As this guy points out, in this weird semantics debate, that if worship is when you cross a threshold of priorities, then not everybody necessarily worships something. He set up his own
Even if he individually does cross that threshold, the fact that there is a set difference between prioritize or, think is important versus as important as it means to meet that threshold, then someone out of the billions of people will eventually just kind of go meh to everything.
weird rules in his own weird game and lost. So he panics, sputters, asks the guy what he thinks it means, and then goes back on the thing he just said a moment ago.
Over
See,
any
you're
other human,
making
but I
the
don't
assumption.
think that she is some
You're making the
supernatural being.
assumption that only the thing at the top or the bottom has anything to do with worship. And I'm saying that's not true. It's a hierarchy of prioritization.
Motherfucker, you just said that it was about the bottom or the top. We just heard you say it. Here's the clip.
And worship is almost a
shades.
spectrum, right? Or it's not a binary. It's not a.
It's kind of like that's a good
So
question.
when
It's
when is it worship as opposed to just I love my wife?
the closer you get to the top or the bottom, the more it's more like
How
worship.
close to the top?
At some point, the horror has to dawn on you that the point Jordan Peterson is making is that everyone likes stuff and has one or a few things they like the most. That's really it. He's using slightly bigger words and tangling it up in a philosophical tone, but he's saying that everyone likes things. And people like some things more than other things. And I guess
What?
because everyone likes stuff, that means that atheists are actually religious. Again, they debate this claim for 20 minutes. Just a group of people arguing over the definition of a word. Maybe we shouldn't have to debate something like this. It's not really worth debating. Or to quote a great mind,
For an
Well,
opinion?
just because people are stupid about things doesn't mean that their opinion is valid.
thank you. Great point. See, this is the power that Peterson absolutely has. He knows words, he's a word knower guy. This is why a lot of people find him to be smart, until you really start to think about what he's actually saying or look even a little into the validity of his claims. He's very good at this. It's his true talent. He is a bullshitter. He throws out a big ball of words and forces you to untangle them, only to realize they are meaningless. There's just a turd in that ball. And by the time you realize it, he's gone. I mean, here I am doing that. I'm doing this video instead of a video about a real problem in the world, or like cleaning. Probably not cleaning. I mean, I could be playing Minecraft, actually, or making food in the game Valheim, or making spice.
I've never played Minecraft. It just never made sense.
Spicy food in Dune Awakening, but I'm here instead. And in a debate form, this is very effective. We're too busy pointing out how his definitions of words are wrong to address the larger and also bad point he's making, or realize that he's just trying to squirm around a truth, or see that he's taking our wallet or whatever thing he wants to pull. We didn't even get to Peterson's final claim, which was that, quote, atheists accept Christian morality, but deny the religion's foundational stories. Again, sure. Like, people accept the morality of Lord of the Rings, but that doesn't mean they have to accept it as truth. It doesn't matter. Oh, well, Lord of the Rings stems from Christian morality. It doesn't matter. Denying that stories happened in real life doesn't mean one is denying the value or meaning of a story or a moral lesson. And of course, as you can probably guess, his definition of Christian morality is so broad that it's something everyone would naturally accept.
What does it mean to accept Christian values precisely, or Christian morality?
It means to aim up as hard as you can, no matter what happens to you.
So mad.
Okay.
Cool, we're all Christians then. I don't care, you win, whatever. Fucking whatever, Jordo. Fuck you. This is, Jordan, incredibly unhelpful. Christian morality isn't aiming high and persevering. He does something similar earlier when he claims that the core of being a Christian is self-sacrifice.
There's many things, but one of the most fundamental is that you believe that the cosmos itself is founded on the principle of voluntary self-sacrifice.
But as a very patient woman points out to him, the core to being a Christian, the requirement to be a Christian, is to believe and accept that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior. Well, what do you mean by... No! You know what it means. Stop it. Peterson brings up how Christian thought and ancient Greek thought have some overlap. And the very patient woman asks him, okay, let's say someone just happens to have morals that overlap with Christianity, treating others as they wish to be treated, self-sacrifice, whatever. Is that person a Christian?
Pre-Christian philosophers, for example, and they noted the similarity, let's say, between pre-Christian Greek thought and later Christian thought, and presumed that there were moral actors outside the Christian domain.
Right.
They're
so is that
addressing
person
the
Christian,
same-
though?
Does that make that person a Christian? If someone has values that happen to overlap with Christian values, does that make a person Christian? His response may not surprise you.
Is that person Christian?
Well, to some degree, again, that's a matter of definition, because they
Exactly.
wouldn't.
Incredible restraint from her right there. Exactly, she says, stone-faced, fire in her eyes, correctly. She also points out that by Peterson's definition, if we also ignore that he elsewhere defines God as conscience, God is what you prioritize or worship at the top or the bottom. She points out that many different people have many different values. So by his own rules, there are many, many gods.
Could there be that someone has a priority at their foundation that is different from someone else's?
Oh, definitely.
Essentially, there's not one God, but there are multiple gods, and these gods exist in some realm of truth. It's true that this person has one God and it exists.
Yeah, probably better to think about it as multiple values, but that there's a hierarchy of values with something at the bottom.
Right, but at the
Or
bottom is
top.
God, and there
That's
are...
a definition, yeah.
That's a definition, yeah. Yours, Jordan. So there are multiple gods. Well, no, multiple values. But at the bottom is God. Well, that's a definition. It's just, he's a frustrating man. He has created this rhetorical prison for himself to be stuck in.
Yeah.
It's weird that this guy has like 5 definitions of God and seems to think that you can be categorized as a Christian without thinking that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior who died for our sins. But anyway, as I mentioned way before, whenever anyone brings up a negative aspect of Christian morality, Peterson simply says that the bad stuff doesn't count because he personally isn't interested in it.
Well, I can't explain the rapture to you because that isn't something I concern myself with, and that's more of a sectarian belief than something that's central to Christianity.
So in 1 Samuel 15:3, God says, go and slaughter the Amalekites, slaughter the men, the women, the children, the infants. What's the justification for that? Is that in line
That's a
with
good
Christian
question.
ethics?
That's a good question. I don't really know what to do with the terrible, blood-soaked, saturated history of the human past.
It's so slimy and obvious. Well, I don't concern myself with that really important part of the Bible. Well, I don't know what to do with the blood-soaked history of humanity. Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about God demanding that blood-soaked history. It's like playing a board game with a dirtbag child who changes the rules, right? He says that atheists accept Christian morality and then excludes anything that makes that statement wrong. He refuses to say he's a Christian or define himself clearly, so he can just build a belief structure around whatever makes him seem correct. Or, failing that, he just completely halts the conversation by debating the meaning of a word. And even when we know that's what he's doing, we can't help it when the deviations are so juicy and stupid.
And then 400 years later, he commands the Israelites to genocide their great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren. That's not a just war at all. And also, a genocide is not a war.
Well, a genocide can be a war, but
Absolutely not.
look,
Yeah, what that other guy said. Holy shit, Jordan Peterson. And he's not the only person on the right to do this. Not justify genocide, although they also do that, but rather play this incredibly annoying word game. This is where we, thankfully, get to step away from this Jordan Peterson video. Because all of this weird semantics tangle, is very common for a lot of conservative debate types. Words in that industry are their tools, after all. And because they are liars, they have to use those tools very loosely. One of the easiest ways to do this is to constantly change how literal or broad they are being with the definition of words. And while we've been talking about the broad side, it's worth talking about the literal side.
Well, first of all, it's not a baby, it's a fetus.
Well, what does fetus mean?
A fetus is in utero.
What does fetus mean in Latin?
What the f? I'm sorry, is this
It means
This is
little
the
human
best
being.
clip.
Ooh, this smile is very creepy.
Oh, thank God it's a clip of Charlie Kirk. Thanks for the palate cleanser, man. So this was another viral clip, mainly because of that Babadook-ass smile he gives her. But putting that aside, as this lady clearly realizes, what does the Latin definition of fetus have to do with the science of what a fetus is? Even a child could figure out how stupid that is, right? The etymology of a word, while neat or interesting, isn't the end-all definition of what that word truly means, especially in modern language. It's
Right.
just a name. It's just what we called something when we first realized it existed. Allosaurus means different or strange lizard.
Yeah. I was trying to think of an example of a word that has a particular, hey, this is cool, but what does cool mean in English? Cold. Ah. But you said it's fire. How could that be owned, atheist? You know, like
Lizard. That doesn't mean it watched a bunch of obscure mumblecore films or did the Naruto run everywhere, right? It just means that some people found his bones and decided to bully him, I guess. Or her. You get it. Everyone understands what I'm saying, including Charlie Kirk. But because he didn't want to actually debate abortion, he had to make us debate words. Really old words. This definition game has to be the most pathetic and obvious tactic. And yes, of course, Jordan Peterson also does it.
Is sin like a part of Christian morality?
what do
to
you mean exactly? Sin as
Like
a part.
the
It's
concept-
her blush makes it look like she's got like a cold. Like her makeup made it look like she's like, it looks like she's like a Franken Bass character who's supposed to be like, ooh, I'm chilly in the North Pole.
sin.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's derived from an archery
it's
term.
it's
and it means
cute, but
to
it's just
miss the
funny.
target.
Oh, great, we're back with this video.
Oh damn it! I was too busy thinking about Franken Bass.
Jordan Peterson also does it.
Is sin like a part of Christian morality?
What do
to
you mean exactly? Sin as
Like
a part.
the
It's missing
concept
the
of sin?
Okay,
Yeah.
it's derived from an archery term and it means to miss the target.
Oh, great, we're back with this video. We had a brief moment of air with Charlie Kirk, but here we are again. Everyone knows that sin doesn't mean to miss or whatever. It's a larger concept tied to a religious ideology and therefore has multiple definitions. He should understand this since up until this point, he's been nothing but loose with words. Genocide can mean war, but sin means this one thing only. But when he wants to be, Jordan Peterson will suddenly become extremely obtuse about how complex or polysemous words are interpreted. Here's a fun gem.
You know, we have Pride Month. Well, what are we celebrating? First of all, how about we don't celebrate pride? Pride's a cardinal sin. And you might say, well, they don't mean pride. They mean, you know, it's a group of oppressed people and now they're just finding their identity.
Oh, you do know the answer there.
They're getting some security in that identity. And so what they mean by pride is security in that identity. It's like the word's pride.
Yeah, but do you mean sin as in missing the mark? Because then how is that so bad, Jordan? I thought sin literally just meant to miss something. Hey, Jordan, do you think maybe the whole point is that this group of people was made to hide and feel shame for who they are, and they might be now using the opposite word to point out how they're not going to be ashamed for who they are anymore? Like, you explained it to yourself out loud. Hey, Jordan, you were proudly a member of a group of people called the intellectual dark web. Are you okay with that? The dark web is where people do sinful crimes. How dare you, Jordan? Anyway, this is child shit. He's talking child shit. Like a child trying to debate their bedtime and then shitting. He thinks he can like wordplay something to be right. He is taking a complex topic and just dragging it down to the semantics of it, changing words to this extremely literal and singular interpretation, or changing them to completely vague and different meanings, depending on what point he wants to make. And the ultimate victory is when he distracts you or completely tires you out. Like, I didn't mention this, but sin doesn't mean miss the mark, or at least a lot of people don't think that. But who cares? It doesn't matter. This surrounded video doesn't matter. The world would be exactly the same if it didn't exist. And by the end of it, everyone is just tired and frustrated and saying exactly what I've been saying this whole time.
But I do feel like he does a lot of, I guess, wordplay that can make it a little bit difficult and kind of just muddies the waters in regard to what we define as Christianity and atheism.
Right. So what was the point? It's empty content. It doesn't really instruct or intrigue when it comes to philosophical debates about religion or God, because it's not really about that. It's mostly a 90-minute video of people debating the interpretation of words, which I guess might interest someone curious about linguistics or what it feels like to have a stroke or the worst ways that liars lie. And while most people see how useless Jordan Peterson is, I really need everyone to realize that this also reflects on these surrounded videos. They released this video. And sure, they probably have some use in that they've changed a few people's minds along the way. They're definitely entertaining sometimes. They create hot con reaction videos starring Cody, but they are ultimately a net loss in terms of progress or political discourse. And this video really shows that, because it shows how Surrounded is built for people like Jordan Peterson or Charlie Kirk. Liars, hucksters, not exclusively, but mainly for these types. So after the break, we're gonna stop talking about this video, and talk about why we're talking about this video. All right, well, goodbye for like a few minutes. Every once in a while, the team here... Now they're just not picking up. Okay, ads are done. Jordan Peterson, Surrounded. I'm not gonna recap because you can just watch it yourself. It's time to take this one video of Jordan Peterson, the weird liar, lying about his beliefs by playing word games, and zoom out to the entire right-wing movement. The phrase I'm gonna use to broadly describe this tactic is tangential logic. They're using tangential points to meander off the subject, often trying to embed themselves in these digressions in order to change the argument, or at times, reality itself. It doesn't just have to be wordplay, mind you. For example, here's a very good and funny example of one of these ghouls trying to bog down a conversation with logic and then failing.
But I'll tell you something you're not going to want to hear, and I admit I'll call it dickish. Utilitarianism is typically the villain in most movies. I don't care.
Never gets old. And yeah, that really should have been what most people said to Jordan Peterson in that video. because the points he was making were tangential to the larger debate. So it's not just about wordplay, but it's mostly about wordplay, because I would argue that the right-wing attack on words is one of their more powerful and devastating tactics. Just look at the word woke, or DEI, or groomer. Those words used to mean specific things until conservatives stole them and gave them new tangential and broad definitions that evoke emotional responses in their base. And at first, people might try to point this out. The first argument is usually people trying to reclaim these words back to their original meaning. But eventually, everyone just gives up. People start saying woke, ironically, mocking the right, until they are just saying it. For example, the word cuck. That was originally a word exclusively being used by, well, cucks and right-wingers, often as a broad insult to the confusion of others. Because who cares if you're a cuck? You want to watch me bang your spouse? Sure. It's not free, but sure. But over time, everyone started using it ironically, then just using it until the Democratic Party's Twitter account is essentially calling Stephen Miller a cuck, all because he really likes being cucked by Elon Musk. Leave the poor cuck Stephen Miller the cuck alone, guys! While it can be harmless, it's often not. More often, it's quite bad. For example, they are now scrubbing all mention of DEI from the government. And just like Jordan Peterson, they are doing this very obtusely. The words equity and inclusion, for example, mean multiple things. But since they are just broadly going after the words, various financial forms that have nothing to do with DEI are being deleted. Even when it is technically DEI, that phrase meant something different when it was first enacted, right? That's why stuff like veteran support groups are also getting purged in Trump's anti-woke crusade. Don't get me wrong, I don't think any of this should be purged, but I doubt the people who think they're against DEI intended to do that. But the fact remains that DEI existed and helped a whole lot of people, including Trump's current vice president, before Trump showed up and decided it meant something bad and broad and different. Again, they're waging a war on the words themselves and not really the complex meaning behind them. And of course, Trump is the king of all of this. The word salads, the vagueness, everything Peterson does, Trump does better. The mob-like, indirect way he speaks has made it so anyone can interpret him in any way they need. Here's just one of a million examples.
But what kind of realistic changes that do you think you can provide single parents, married parents, any kind of parent, to just simply afford children in today's world with the way things are?
Right? It is not fair.
No.
And what we're going to do, and I'm going to, because I understand exactly what you're saying, we're going to readjust things so that it's fair to everybody, because it's really not fair to everybody.
Why is this
But
in
we
a
have
barn?
a lot, and we're going up higher, but we're also going to readjust because you have to make some readjustments. It's unfair to some people, and we're not going to have that.
So he's referring to child tax credits, and the exact quote is, "We're going to readjust things so that it's fair to everybody, because it's really not fair to everybody. But we have a lot, we're going up higher, but we're also gonna readjust, because you have to make some readjustments. It's unfair to some people, and we're not gonna have that." That's from a Fox News clip with the headline, "Trump vows to ease childcare cost burden for struggling parents." But, did he? Did he say anything close to that? What did he even say? Notice how he keeps saying it's not fair to some people. Which people? How are you?
Also, the beginning of the quote is, "We're going to readjust things so that it's fair to everybody." It's unfair to some people, and we're not going to have that. Okay, so I thought it was changing backwards, but he's just saying currently it's unfair to some people, but now it's going to be?
How he keeps saying it's not fair to some people. Which people? How are you going to readjust? How is that a clear policy laid out? I don't have to convince you that Trump doesn't make much sense when he...
I mean, the easiest way to make sure it's not fair is just to give it to everybody. Easiest thing you can do. Tax those people who have too much and then give them everything that everybody else gets. Hell, they're the ones paying the taxes for it, so they should get it too. Why not? Just like the ideas of universal basic income, just like the ideas of college for all, Medicare for all. The rich people will get it too. and you just make sure that they're taxed at the appropriate level. That way, it works.
Speaks. But I wanted to stress that you could interpret him in so many ways, depending
Podcast
on
completed.
which people you think he's talking about. And ultimately, we now know what he meant. The child tax credits he proposes will go up by $500, but will also exclude millions of children who would otherwise legally be eligible. His party is also trying to cut food stamps and Medicaid, so that extra $500 doesn't really mean much. He couldn't.
Why did that get ended? I have no idea. The vertical stream just fucking turned off for some reason on YouTube. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. Huh. Whatever. No one was watching it, so.
Didn't say that to that lady asking a question, so he just speaks in that vague, indirect way people like him and Jordan Peterson love to do. Due process? Well, I don't know anything about that. You'll have to ask my lawyer. I'm the president. You know, a lot of people are saying that I should get a third term. You mad, bro? I was just being sarcastic, even though I clearly wasn't. This is often talked about in relation to the sane washing of Trump, where he'll spit out a bramble of words and then the media will find a way to interpret it to sound sensical and competent, or say he's trolling when he makes direct threats. There's another type of group that speaks this way that I want to shout out, which might be obvious to you. It's cults. Cults speak this way. There's a book about it, probably multiple books, but the author of that book, a linguist who happens to have a family history with cults, talks about the difference between something like scientific jargon and cult speak. To quote her directly, "My parents, they're scientists, and they will use jargon that I don't understand, but that jargon is there to make communication clearer. Cultish language has these ulterior motives, and it's there to make communication hazier. It's there to divide people, to shut down independent thinking. And that's how you know that language is cultish, when it causes strong emotional response, but you yourself have trouble translating what it is that you're saying." So going back to Peterson and Trump, that's exactly how they're speaking, isn't it? They're making the conversation hazier, not clearer. Well, why?
I'd have to imagine that's not intentional because I just can't. It just happens to be how it works out for them. Because I don't. You could argue maybe Jordan, but there's no. It's just they get lucky that that's how that, and why they end up being so successful.
What do you mean by God? What do you mean by believe? What do you mean by mean? What do you mean by what? And the right wing's broad use of words like woke and DEI and groomer also make things much hazier while dividing groups and causing that strong emotional response. Less clarity, more emotion. A war of words in a war on words, stretching them, twisting them, bopping them, pulling them, swapping from ultra-literal to vague to metaphors, finding weird logic loopholes to change the reality of the words themselves. You know, lying. And of course, there's another group of people that speak this way that I also need to shout out, which may once again be obvious to you. Fascists. The language of dystopias. We are now seeing that in play as we speak and as they newspeak. J.D. Vance literally said he makes up stories. Recently, he said, "We're not going to war with Iran, we're at war with their nuclear facilities." Well, I'm not at war with God, I'm at war with the voice of God. It's just a bunch of word games with the faux air of intellectualism to justify their project of brutality and might makes right. The Trump administration has been utilizing something called legalistic noncompliance to get around the many court cases against it. Basically playing legal word games so that they can break the law while pretending they aren't, acting as obtuse as possible about the orders when everyone knows the meaning. And unless someone stops them, they certainly won't stop there. When the Constitution says that no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, we all know what that means. It's obvious. Except if the right asshole were to try and pick all the words apart, they might be able to find a way for Trump to serve a third term, even though everyone knows that's not how it works. We all know. But to quote a constitutional law professor, a president who's interested in remaining in power, despite limits against it, will come up with clever legal arguments to do so. So, will Trump be able to violate the law and remain in office indefinitely? Only if the American people let him. That really
Ooh, the people letting him is basically the crux of a lot of different things, because so many things that have been done are straight up law breaking in many ways, and then just being able to get away with it because even if something is against the law and you're clearly doing it, somebody has to go, hey, halt, you're breaking the law. Come with me, lawbreaker. Like, that literally is the step that requires it. Laws mean nothing, especially if no one is going to enforce them. So that's the gamble. It's you and what army. I feel like there was another thing I was going to say, but that last little bit kind of gave me the whole new point.
resonates all the way to the Jordan Peterson stuff. You can either let him bog you down with a debate about semantics, or you can just say, I don't care. Right. From a debate about religion all the way to the fucking Constitution, there need to be moments when you simply just say, fuck off. You know what these words mean.
Right. The Republicans are so... They love to get up there and claim and cry about different forms of the law and say, this is bullshit, it can't happen this way. But then whenever, like, they're like, oh my God, Obama wants to put somebody into the Supreme Court, but there's going to be an election in 2 years. How dare you even begin to think about it? How could you? That's so against the rule. And this, even though it's not even against the law, the rules, it's so against the spirit of the rules. And that's just, unfounded. It's just preposterous and wrong. And then whenever they're so caught fucking red-handed, like, well, what's the definition of this actually? Well, actually, hold on. And it's just so apparent. It's frustrating as somebody who wants the Democrats to actually do something ever. Because Republicans know how to bitch and complain to make it work, to get it across the finish line, including breaking laws and breaking rules or changing rules, changing the understanding of rules, whatever. They're so unwilling to do it.
Because if you don't, if you get drawn into these faux philosophical or linguistic or quote unquote high-minded debates and let them do these Mad Hatter word games, then eventually the words lose meaning. And as we're being reminded more and more, that matters. Because laws are also just words. Policy, just words. Our world is words. It's how we agree on reality. And it's not our job to accommodate everyone's incorrect or purposefully manipulative interpretation of that. Unless we're the Supreme Court. In that case, well, that's our only job now. Gotta get that private jet ride after all. What are we gonna do? Not go on a jet? You know how cool jets are? They go whoosh, guys! They fucking go whoosh! Anyway, Jordan Peterson, words. Did I pass out earlier? Is that why I peed myself? Happy Beard Day, America, and Pride. Happy Pride Month. And I do mean July and the sin. July is the sin month, I've decided. Not like last month, which wasn't the sin version of Pride. But you know that because we can infer how words work. Unlike Jordan Peterson and the Supreme Court.
This is a month ago, obviously. That was fun. Are you still with me, Kara? It's probably best if you are sleeping. Just looking over the other videos that we had to watch. We could say these for tomorrow. We have more people watching. I could take today to do some more video editing off to the side and stuff. That's probably a good idea. It's a pretty light day. But I still made sure to get a stream in. Watch 2 hours of stuff. 2 hours is not a long stream, but it's still a stream. In about, I don't know, 5-6 hours, I gotta go pick up my parents. I can definitely get some editing done in 5-6 hours. Okay. Let's try and make sure we actually show up on time tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the morning. So, hell, I always think about starting even earlier, but probably makes sense to do it to some degree. It just seems like most of my viewers are like 5 to 6 a.m. sometimes. So maybe I'm an early morning streamer. Who knows? Hell, maybe I'm not even a streamer at all, and I just do other things instead. But streaming a little bit, a couple hours at least, that makes sense. Because I like keeping myself up to date on the technology, the pros and cons.
Jocelyn Brown, going back to the roots of
Maybe I'll double duty and try and go over to that. If Friday is one of the days where it makes sense, try to go and do that gas station thing. I can also do another ILL stream of the Picket. When we have that Picket thing, I should look at my calendar real fast while we're just chilling. What? That can't be right. I have my gastro visit today. What? That can't be right. Let me looking at the rest of the week. DSA meeting on Sunday. City councilman meeting, back-to-back meeting on Tuesday. Picket at Chevron on that coming Thursday, so about a week from now, a little less than a week. North County Social. A week from today, plus some hours. Okay. Yeah, I had my like gastro visit on like June, right before July ended. So 4 months later, June, July, 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be like October 10th. I must have fucked up the calendar. How do I remove this? I'll just do that. this. I see. I will take this, delete, okay. Then go here, grab this. October 8th. Now I'm upset, but I'm sure I'll get emails and shit about it too, so. Okay. We got no viewers whatsoever. It's a Wednesday night, Thursday morning. It's a weird day. Don't know why I'm hemming and hawing. Make sure to get something done. If you're watching the VOD, I doubt you would even watch this long to see the end. I always do a salute. I don't know why I do a salute.